is on a visit to Cambridge. About the author. The story is written by Firdaus Khan. Born in Mumbai, is a writer and actor who lives in London. He has authorized trying to grow a semi-autobiographical novel set in India and a travel book, Heaven on Wheels, about his experiences in UK. Introduction. The two great men exchange thoughts on what it means to live life in a wheelchair and on how the so called normal people react to the disabled. This is the story of a travelogue, both of them disabled or differently abled. As we now say, Stephen Hawking is one of the greatest scientists of our time. He suffers from a form of paralysis that confines him to a wheelchair and allows him to speak only by punching buttons on a computer, which speaks for him like a machine voice. Firdaus Kang is a writer and journalist who lives and works in Mumbai. Kang was born with brittle bones that tended to break easily when he was a child. Like Hawkins, Kang moves around in a wheelchair. Summary. This story is about meeting between two differently abled people. Both were extraordinary in their fields. Stephen Hawking was a great scientist, though he suffers from paralysis. He can speak only through the computer and confined to a wheelchair. Firdaus Kang, the writer and journalist from Mumbai, was born with weak and easily breakable bones. He took moves around in a wheelchair. Both meet in England at Stephen's place. They discussed about the point of view of normal people for differently abled. The writer Firdaus was on a walking tour through Cambridge to UK. He got to know about Hawking from his guide. Hawking was occupying Newton's chair at the university. He wrote A Brief History of Time, one of the bestsellers. Firdaus called Hawking and got an appointment to meet him for half an hour. It was encouraging to Firdaus to meet somebody like him on a wheelchair. Both of them were differently abled. Their bodies were disintegrating, but minds were brilliant. Hawking had little stitches in his hand. He was able to move his finger to find the words on a computer. When Firdaus asked Hawking that people often thought that disabled people were unhappy people, Hawking replied, I find it amusing when people patronize me. He was a very practical person. He didn't think anything good about being disabled. He admitted that it is annoying when another disabled person come and disturb him in his work. Seeing the poor condition of the great scientist, Firdaus felt relief because neither he can walk nor even stand. Hawking didn't like the idea of the disabled Olympics. According to him, it is a waste of time. His advice that they should concentrate on what they were good at. They spent 1 hour together instead of half an hour. Had tea and saw his garden. At the time of departure, Firdaus got up to say goodbye, but he couldn't neither kiss or cry. He convinced that the paralytic scientist was a symbol of bravery. Important questions. Stephen Hawking said, I have had no choice. Does the writer think there was a choice? What was it? Yes, the writer thought that Stephen Hawking had a choice. He chose to live creatively despite his paralysis. Question 2. I could feel his anguish. What could be the anguish? Stephen's anguish was that he found it difficult to find the right words on his computer. He felt frustrated and tired. Question 3. What endeared the scientist to the writer so that he said he was looking at one of the most beautiful men in the world? What endeared Hawking to the writer was his frankness. Without being sentimental or silly, he declared that he was annoyed when somebody came to disturb him in his work. Question 4. What is scientist's message for disabled? Stephen Hawking's message for the disabled people is that they should concentrate on what they are good at. Olympics for the handicapped or disabled people are waste of time. Question 5. The writer expresses his great gratitude to Stephen Hawking. What is the gratitude for? The writer expresses his gratitude to Hawking for giving him strength and confidence to be brave and to live creative life. Thank you.